Greetings, my fellow Tejanos, and thank you for tuning in. I'm John Falcon with the Texas Alliance for Land-Grant Descendants. Today I want to share with you the outcome of our August 16th Land-Grant Conference in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I think you're going to enjoy the message. The movement to gain amends for the illegal methods by which Texas seized many of our ancestral lands is growing. And it is growing by extraordinary proportions. This conference reaffirmed that trend. You'll hear in a moment why this is happening. The conference produced some extraordinary precedents, events that some social experts predicted could never happen among our group. You see, historically, efforts of the sort we were pursuing at the conference have a track record of self-destructing among Hispanics. That has been a very typical outcome and the demise of many of our predecessor attempts for political action. But you overcame that with a strong showing of determination and a strong will to organize the entire land-grant movement in Texas. You'll enjoy hearing the details of that outcome. Among those who attended the conference, and for those of you who are familiar with the old Hispanic idiom, the Jaiba principle, the crab principle, it died at that conference. You buried it. There were some people present at the conference who were attempting to divide the attendees, but you overwhelmed their efforts with the unanimous vote to unite. You voted unanimously among several hundred attendees. That's unheard of in crowds that large. Not one dissenting vote from among hundreds of people. Job well done, Tejanos. You merged your efforts with a firm conviction. You were resolved to get it done, and you did. Second, thanks to a record attendance, the conference was a resounding success. Even more exciting was the proxy representation that some family groups brought with them. Several hundred people were delivered to our registry by proxy. This not only added to our membership, but it affirms the purpose of our cause. People who could not come to our conference found a way to join our alliance anyway. That, my fellow Tejanos, speaks volumes for the course we have taken to find solutions, for the justice that we seek. You know, people overwhelmingly agree with our methods, and now within the substantial core of our registered members who are situated in many counties across the state, we now have a solid alliance that is poised to reach thousands of Tejano lives in Texas, Hispanic lives who await our guidance and direction. You are to be commended for that outcome. What you did at this conference will send a strong message to those concerned with our movement, and you focused directly on the justice that we seek. And believe me, it will impact directly upon the decision makers who see this mandate building. And this is our mandate. And it's simply asking for justice, not anything unreasonable. They know it's coming, and for that reason it's incumbent upon us to keep the pressure building and continue adding Hispanic members to our alliance. This justice that we speak of concerning the lands that were taken from our ancestors, through means that many official sources consider illegal, this injustice has persisted for over 200 years. The amends to fix it from our state and federal governments are long overdue. There is a solution, and we're not going to rest until it becomes a reality. You'll read about the solutions on our website. As the movement evolves within the system, we will keep you informed. Our forefathers were the first civilized people to settle this land that we now call Texas. They tamed its savagery, and it was a savage land when they first arrived. They established a civilized existence, painfully labored to clear the ground, clear the land, farm it. They established ranches, produced subsistence for thousands of people that they shipped to markets south, and opened their arms to other civilized groups of people from the north who ventured in to live here. only to have their lands forcefully taken by the very people they welcomed with open arms. That kind of injustice will not stand for much longer. It won't survive. And let me explain to you why. As a race of people, Hispanics in early Texas were socially excluded from disciplines such as education, sociology, psychology, politics, economics, and for the most part removed to the fringes of society where our race existed as a class of servants. That didn't just happen to Hispanics, it happened to Italians in New York, Jews in New York, Irish in New York, Orientals in the West Coast. The big difference is how it happened here in Texas. But we now have assimilated the very institutions in Texas by which our lands were dispossessed from our ancestors. That history and information which was previously obscure from our vision is no longer hidden. We now know the truth and we know how to fix them. And for that reason, I sense that the moment of reckoning is not far away. Some decision makers in our state government are beginning to sense that. For that reason, I believe a change is coming, if not sooner than perhaps later, but a change is coming. Our website, www.rootsofTexas.com / will soon begin exhibiting information that will help us realize that goal. It will be incumbent upon all of us to remain informed of its contents and disseminate the material to every Hispanic among our circle of friends and relatives. You see, the injustice did not only affect Tejano landowners, it socially excluded all Hispanics. All were disenfranchised socially from being worthy of equal treatment and economic development. Future conferences will include professional scholars who have researched and published on this subject. And currently there are plans for another conference in October of this year, so stay tuned for that announcement. It will be posted on our website soon. Professional scholars at our next conference will help all of us understand how those events were manifested into our lives, so that future generations can ensure history does not repeat itself. A major part of our Alliance mission statement will emphasize that never again shall our race of people be persecuted as it was in the time of our ancestors who settled this region. And we can leave a legacy for our children and grandchildren, all future generations of Texas, that affirms their equal treatment institutionally and socially here in Texas. Then we have done our job. By availing ourselves to the truths that have been researched by professional scholars who have done the work for us, this will clearly help our members understand the damage that needs to be amended. In effect, the justice that we seek. The one event of our conference with perhaps the greatest historical implications for all movement is now viewed by many as new Texas history. An alliance was born among all the different land-grant families and factions present, formed right there before the very eyes of everybody in the conference center. This was indeed an unprecedented turn of events. Many had said it couldn't be done. There was an article in a prominent newspaper not long ago that described Hispanic movements as being resistant to organization and unity that endures until it succeeds. And this was stated for most any cause. But here in Corpus, you did it, Tejanos. You created an institution through which all land-grant families in Texas can speak as one voice. And I could not be more proud than to get elected to head your alliance and be that one voice for all of us. I assure you, I will continue my dedication to our cause, to our alliance, and to you. May God bless our alliance and guide us to justice. And I will not be alone in the management of your alliance. You also elected a deputy director, Mr. Reggie Gonzalez, who incidentally is the current candidate for U.S. Congress. Reggie will work closely with me in the exercise of the administration. You also elected the following officers to serve you. An executive committee composed of 10 members to provide oversight for the operation of the Alliance. Their names will be posted on our website. Please get familiar with them. A voter registration chairman to assist in indoctrination and registration of public voters. A public information specialist to disseminate our message to public news institutions, newspapers, and TV stations. An event coordinator who will, with assistance, will prepare the conference and other events for the benefit of our membership. You wisely postponed the election of Secretary-Treasurer until the Alliance becomes officially established with the Secretary of State's office, and funds can be solicited, deposited, and properly safeguarded and accounted for. It's a wise decision to postpone that, in my opinion. And finally, you selected a central location for the Alliance, the headquarters, in Corpus Christi, Texas, the bedrock of many South Texas land-grant events. Centralized as it is, I believe that this will offer an advantage to the Alliance. If you look in our website, www.rootsoftexas.com/, you'll see a brief description of the jobs these staff officers will be doing for you and their names. More detailed descriptions will be explained in the bylaws. Those are being drafted as we speak and will be available to Alliance members soon. Another principal objective of the conference was to bring land-grant descendants up to date on events that impact the cause. In matters of litigation, we asked Mr. Juan Loya to share with us what he could about his family's lawsuit against the state. And in research and development, we heard from Mr. Jose Sierra an in-depth presentation of historical findings that affect our cause. As a whole, the material was enlightening, was substantive, very comprehensive for those who needed an update. And by the way, Mr. Juan Loya will be at our next conference and will reveal a whole new perspective about the case. Some breaking news has occurred recently. It appears Texas may have lost some ground on that case, so stay tuned. Now let's talk a little bit about what lies ahead for all of us. In our quest for justice, we must pursue the following steps. We must continue our organizational efforts to grow our membership. Large numbers of voters is the only language politicians understand. We need thousands of members, and it's attainable if all of us get involved. Imagine if among the current registrants that we have, at least 600 of us would register 3 Hispanics per week. In a year, over 90,000. And by 2018, when our legislative representation will reflect our population majority exponentially, the 90,000 could grow to approximately 5 million voters. Imagine what our children and grandchildren could do with such a political dynasty. We can do it for them. You can do it for them. You now have the organization for it, and as a place in history, it really is our time to lead, but we must lead with a dignity and respect for all Texans, regardless of race or color or national origin. And we must maintain the professional image that our state currently has among all U.S. states and territories. We must remain very aware of and vehemently resist any effort by any person or organization that seeks to divide us. That, my fellow Tejanos, has been our greatest downfall in the past. It's time that we change that. Our political history is replete with failure caused by self-destruction from within. We must strongly reject any notion by any person or organization that seeks to divide our members or change our direction. We must stay the course. We must remain within the due process of our democratic form of government. It will work for us, especially after we become the population majority predicted by 2016. That's just around the corner in Texas history. Now, about Texas House Bill 724, which created the Unclaimed Mineral Proceeds Commission. This House bill opened the door for our very first testimonies of recent times that I know of on the subject of land grants. From that commission came a suggestion in its final report that Texas appoint a legislative committee to see and address the historical injustices that fell upon Tejano landowners. We must aggressively pursue the appointment of that committee. The Alliance will render guidance and information on that subject soon, so stay tuned to our website. Again, www.rootsoftexas.com / for the latest developments. Following the creation and implementation of that legislative committee and its functions, we must then seek creation by the state of an adjudication system that will fairly and economically receive and consider Tejano claims for justice. This has to happen before many who were wrongfully dispossessed from their inheritance can have a chance to receive any amends for the loss at a reasonable cost. Some attorneys are demanding 30% or more for any future recovery. Many recognize that few Tejano families have the means to fund a lawsuit. For most families, it's simply too expensive. Another concern for those who believe that a class action lawsuit will represent them fairly. They should examine the proposed outcome and determine if that is the justice they seek. In retrospect, an adjudication system, a claim system, may be the most economic means by which low to middle income Tejano families can approach the state with a claim for amends of their losses. Now, before we can sell our cause to anyone who will listen, we must first educate ourselves on the historical facts. Facts that will incite justice among those who can make the changes happen. There is a strong lesson to learn from the Unclaimed Mineral Proceeds Commission final report. This was rendered to the Texas governor, the lieutenant governor, speaker of the House. In that report is a reference of a legal case wherein the pleas of the plaintiff who were trying to get recovery for some of their lands were denied because the evidence contained a sort of folklore handed down from generation to generation without, according to the court, substantive proof. Further, the court decreed that virtually all the said folklore cobbled together did not provide the necessary evidence. Our organization will provide information to assist families in preparing their testimonies, not legal advice, and I repeat that. Our organization will not provide legal advice, but will provide administrative guidance on how to package testimony for presentation to any venue, whether it be an attorney that you wish to hire or a state agency examining the claim. And please be advised that our website, www.rootsoftexas.com / is not the only source recommended for research, nor will it be the only source that can provide solutions. You need to avail yourself to all information sources on the web that can help you with your case. Plus, our website will be slow developing because of the enormity of the task, and it's just now beginning to take root. So look for any source that can help you gain the information you need. As time permits, we will also approach college professors who have studied the subject and who are willing to educate us in the quest. With time, we should be able to attract some of these gifted minds to speak at our conferences. We can look forward to that. I encourage you to look at our website, www.rootsoftexas.com, for the names of people elected to serve you and become familiar with them so that you can have your voice heard during executive committee meetings. This should allow everybody to benefit from the diversity of ideas and knowledge among all our group. Our succeeding generations of children and grandchildren certainly deserve it. And finally, in our website, again, www.rootsoftexas.com / will be information and material that will interest and which applies to every Hispanic in Texas. Encourage all to avail themselves to that information. And when opportunity prevails, speak to groups in local civic centers and other locations, so that the complete story can be told and understood by all Hispanic. This is a very important part of our quest for justice. The education of our succeeding generations, which is equally important, is a must. Ladies and gentlemen of our Alliance, that concludes this message on the outcome of our Corpus Christi Assembly of August 16th, 2015. As developments continue to evolve, I will continue to appear on our website to keep you informed. In the meantime, preparations are being made to provide certain confidential information for Alliance members only. Those of you who have not registered at one of our conferences are encouraged to go to our website, again, www.rootsofTexas.com with a / and complete a registration form. The information you provide will be safeguarded as confidential, and you and only those Alliance officers with a need to know will have access to your Alliance folder. Again, I remind you that there will be another conference in October. Please stay tuned for the dates and times and places. We're going to try and make it at the same location, the Almy Hotel. Until next time, I remain respectfully yours, John Falcon.